When he was just 48 years old, Jim Stroud was diagnosed with Parkinson's. Now, 4 years later, the disease affects
primarily my right hand. I got essential tremors too, but primarily my right hand. Starting to move over to my left side a little bit.
No longer able to work this past May, in an effort to pass the time, Jim Stroud picked up a paintbrush. He had never seriously painted, but he now found the hobby helped him relax as he dealt with Parkinson's.
It helps tremendously. Seems like when I'm back here in front of this canvas, the only concentration I have to do is determine what you're going to put on this thing.
As he paints, Stroud uses his left hand to steady his trembling right hand.
I can't hold my hands steady enough to do any drawing of any type. I can do these paintings easier than I can write my name. Some days I can paint, some days I can't. Seems like when my mind's there to do it, my body isn't.
And Jim Stroud received quite a surprise when others began seeing his paintings. He soon found out they were willing to pay for his art.
I'll tell you what, that's the greatest feeling in the world. Actually, it has something that you've created that somebody actually wants to give you money for. Maybe the good Lord took something away and gave something back. I don't know. I'm thankful for it.
Traveling Central Illinois from A to Z, Scott England, WAND, Storm Center 17.
Good evening. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm Liz Adiola. A Decatur teen continues her recovery 1 month after she suffered a massive stroke. That stroke almost killed Samantha Binkley just 1 week after she was elected homecoming princess at Decatur's Eisenhower High School. Now tonight, Samantha talks to Scott England from her hospital bed in Peoria, where she was airlifted just last month.
You know, if you come in a helicopter, you know, that makes you really worried and scared.
And Samantha Binkley had a right to be scared. The day after she was flown to St. Francis Hospital in Peoria, she suffered a massive stroke that left her paralyzed on the left side of her body and face. But now, 1 month later, Sam is recovering.
The left arm is still, she can't move it on her own, but it is getting better. The left leg, she can move. It's still kind of hard for her to bend it. Droopiness in her face has improved.
With the left side of her face still paralyzed, Sam now has to force a smile. But reading exercises have helped her speech return to almost normal.
But inside I know, given a chance to sing and dance, life will be grand, taking my stand.
She's amazing. I mean, she's done so much in the short time that we've been on the rehab floor that, you know, she's just a very strong young lady.
A game of cards helps limber up Sam's fingers. Her attitude is as limber as ever.
Don't touch them till they're all dealt.
But if a full recovery is in the cards, Samantha knows it will come only after hard and sometimes painful work.
We do weight bearing where I use my trunk muscles to put weight on that arm, and then I do this arm, and then we just alternate arms. Just trying to wake up all the muscles because I have movement in my shoulder. I reached up and grabbed a cone.
1 month ago, Samantha Binkley came very close to dying. This week, she walked, slowly taking the first steps. The slow, unsteady steps are a major accomplishment, but Sam has an even bigger goal.
To be home by Thanksgiving.
Home by Thanksgiving, a simple wish. In Peoria, Scott England, WAND, Storm Center 17.
Wow, Scott, what an incredible story. Sam says when she comes home, she plans to walk in.
Our Scott England joins us live with a brand new Central Illinois A to Z story.
Don, for the past month, we've been following a local girl who was paralyzed by a stroke. This is 16-year-old Samantha Binkley. In October, exactly 1 week after she was elected homecoming princess at Decatur Eisenhower, Sammy suffered a massive stroke. But this Thanksgiving, tomorrow, Sam's family will have lots to be thankful for. S is for Sam the survivor. After a massive stroke left Samantha Binkley paralyzed on the left side of her body and face, Sam has been undergoing intense rehabilitation therapy in OSF St. Francis Medical Center for the past month. Last week, she allowed our cameras to film her as she took her first steps. And during our visit, Sam shared with us her Thanksgiving wish.
to be home by Thanksgiving.
To be home for Thanksgiving. It was such a simple wish, but it was not so simple. It would have been impossible for almost anyone else. But Sam, the survivor, refused to give up on that wish. And Wednesday afternoon, on the day before Thanksgiving, Samantha Binkley came home. She said she wanted to walk in the front door. Hey, yeah, welcome home.
Thanks. Forgot what this place looked like.
And you made it before Thanksgiving. That's really pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, oh yeah. And last night we had a group, like a Thanksgiving group, where me and some other patients got together. And the other two guys, I felt bad because they weren't going to be able to go home before Thanksgiving, so we made cookies.
She was never discouraged. She just said, I'm going to whoop it. And that's just been her attitude.
I got my bracelet that says life is tough, but I'm tougher.
Traveling Central Illinois from A to Z, Scott England, WAND, Storm Center 17. That was just about an hour and a half ago. Sam made it home. She is on the basketball team for Decatur Eisenhower. And Sammy, believe it or not, will be with her team tonight at the Mount Zion tournament. She'll be cheering them on from the sidelines.
That is wonderful, and what a great Thanksgiving gift for her family and for her.
Really is. Sammy's still got a lot of work ahead of her. She'll have to continue her rehabilitation therapy, but now at St. Mary's Hospital in Decatur.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Scott.
Well, as you know by now, each Monday through Friday at 4:30, our Scott England brings you one of his Central Illinois A to Z stories, and he joins us right now with a follow-up.
Sean, yesterday we took you to 16-year-old Samantha Binkley's homecoming. Sam had a massive stroke in October, but she came home from a Peoria hospital yesterday, and the response that we got from that story was so great that today we'll bring you part 2 of Sammy's homecoming. S is for Sammy's small steps, but these will be very large steps for Samantha Binkley. Sammy came home Wednesday. Last month, after a devastating stroke left the left side of her body and face paralyzed, there were doubts she would ever come home.
Hey.
Hey,
What's up?
how you doing?
I like your shirt.
Sammy was able to come home just in time for Thanksgiving, but her thoughts are still with those she met in the hospital.
I'm home and they're not home, so it just made me feel bad. But then I'm also happy because they're being taken care of in a great place.
She will get back to where she was eventually, but this is slow steps and she's getting there.
During her month-and-a-half hospital stay, Sammy missed her family and friends, and her dogs, her very big dogs. Let's bring on the dogs.
Okay, bring on the dog. You sure you want to sit there?
No, you don't.
I'm not sitting here. I'm going to get out of here.
Get up there. There you go. There's Rascal. There's Rascal.
Last month, just after Sammy's stroke, I told her father that I looked forward to this story having a happy ending. And I said, I can't wait to turn this into a good news story, and today is that day. It came sooner than any of us had thought.
It's a blessed Thanksgiving.
It seems like a long time, but really it hasn't been much time, and she's done so well. And why are you crying? Because you're home? We're glad to have you home.
Traveling Central Illinois from A to Z, Scott England, WAND, Storm Center 17. Not a dry eye in the house.
Yeah, really. Always a reminder on Thanksgiving Day like this.
Sammy and her family say they plan to spread the message that strokes can hit young people. Sam will continue her rehabilitation each day, now at St. Mary's Hospital, and she says her next goal is to play basketball again. V is for Virgil Kaufman. In 2 weeks, the Decatur man will turn
103, January the 16th.
3 years ago, we were there when Virgil turned 100 years old. This was him then, still living on his own, still doing his own laundry and his own cooking. And today, well, not much has changed. Virgil even makes his own jelly. So how has he managed to stay so young at such an old age?
I don't know, Scott. I just, I'll tell you the truth, I never did think about my age much. When I do anything, I never think about how old I am or how my age or nothing. I just keep going.
And Virgil Kaufman also keeps driving. In 2009, he took me for a drive in his brand new Transformer Camaro. Since then, he's put 11,000 miles on this car.
It'll go about 170.
Virgil Kaufman is the world's oldest Camaro owner, and at the age of 102, this past summer he received a special invitation to drive his car at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
They said you take it down there and they'll let you drive it around the track. So I took it down there and drove it around the track.
The Brickyard was an appropriate place for the man who has refused to let his age slow him down.
I do what I want to do and I eat what I want and everything, and I never went on a diet in my life. Of course, I'm going to get old run these days.
But not yet.
No, I'm not ready.
Traveling Central Illinois from A to Z, Scott England, WAND, Storm Center 17. Of all of the TV and movie stars in the world, in the history of the world, this man is my all-time favorite. Henry Winkler. What a thrill it is to talk to you, Henry.
Well, I want to say it is a pleasure to be here at your job, because a lot of time I get to see you and your beautiful family at my job.
As we always come and cheer you on wherever you are. For years, Henry has received...
It's true.
We'll talk more about that in just a minute. For years, Henry has received all kinds of awards for his TV and movie work. He is being honored for his work by the National Stroke Association. Tell us what you've got going right now, Henry.
Well, you know, 2 years ago, I was asked to be the face, the voice for the Open Arms campaign. The Open Arms campaign, www.openarmscampaign.com, is a clearing center for all information, new and what's already been known, for stroke victims, for their doctors, for their children, for their caregivers. And I just allow people to know it exists.
And they couldn't have picked a better spokesperson. You were there to help care for your mother when she had a stroke.
Right. My mom passed away in 1998, I believe. But she had upper limb spasticity, which affects the body about 4 months, give or take, after the stroke, when the muscles seize up and the upper limbs just freeze into place. And there is not much that can be done. Now there are new tools in a doctor's toolbox that can help the patient and the caregiver with that particular problem.
We're going to give out the website one more time in just a minute. First, last month you were also honored for your work with children who have dyslexia. You were honored by the Queen of England.
Yes, I got a note from Queen Elizabeth saying that she graciously conferred upon me the Order of the British Empire, one of the greatest moments of my entire life outside of the birth of my children.
Henry, I've never asked you this in all of our meetings. Of course, the Fonz was as big as you could have gotten in the 70s and 80s. How did you stay so grounded through that crazy time? How did you stay so nice to people like you are today?
Well, being nice is another kettle. To stay grounded was difficult because the way you're treated by so many people when you're on television, it's almost as if they believe you can walk on water. And there are so many of them believing that, you start to think, I can walk on water. And you have to remember, you're doing a television show. You're on TV, you're doing what you dreamt of doing, but you're no taller. It doesn't make you smarter. And you have to keep that perspective. You really, really do.
Henry, I told you this in Chicago a couple of weeks ago in person, but I want to tell you in front of all of our viewers, I thank you so much for your kindness to my family, to my wife and little girl, and for your friendship over the years. You mean so much to us, and I just thank you so much.
Well, let me just say, in this particular case, it's really easy because you have a fabulous family. Your wife and your daughter are open, and they are warm, and so it's really easy to finish off that circle.
Henry, we will see you soon. Again, the website for your work with the National Stroke Association, one more time.
It's www.openarmscampaign.com.
Henry Winkler. We'll see you soon.
You bet.
S is for Samantha. 1 year ago, Samantha Binkley was fighting for her life after suffering a massive stroke. The left side of her face and body were paralyzed. This card game was part of her therapy.
Don't touch them till they're all dealt.
But that was then, and now, exactly 1 year later. Hey, I'm looking for a good-looking girl.
Hey.
How you doing?
Okay.
Before her stroke, Samantha Binkley was one of the best players for the Eisenhower Lady Panthers. Over the last year, as she has gone through extensive therapy, she has had one goal in mind.
I had to be here for the first game this season, senior year.
And tonight, Sammy will dress in her basketball uniform as the Panthers play their season opening game.
Did you ever see this?
No, I didn't. What does it say?
All is fair in love and basketball.
Sam's love for basketball has helped her get to the point where she can shoot and go through drills with her team. Let's see it. All right. But Sam is still struggling with the left side of her body. She also has little vision in her left eye. So once the game begins, she has to cheer her team on from the bench. Once the starting buzzer sounds, she feels
A lot of emotions, sadness, happiness, jealousy.
Just to have her out there, it means a lot. It means a lot to our team and to our girls.
Because I will always be the sixth man out there. It made me cry.
And Sam has this message for anyone who is dealing with their own challenge.
To never give up, I guess, fight. But if I could be an inspiration, then let it be.
Traveling Central Illinois.
From A to Z.
Scot England, WAND, Storm Center 17. If you had a last wish, something you could do before you die, what would you wish for? A local woman had a unique wish, and that wish was granted this week. You'll see what it was as I travel Central Illinois from A to Z. A is for Alma Lou's last dance. Alma Lou Razor has cancer. She is now under hospice care.
I've had a hard life, but I've had a good life.
During her life, Alma Lou was an entertainer. She sang, spending much of her time in Nashville. And she still sings.
You're cheating hard, ain't gonna tell on you.
Alma Lou's love of music also led her to make a surprising request. She said her greatest wish was to dance the day away one more time. This week, the Harbor Light Hospice and Mason Point, where Alma Lou now lives, helped grant that wish.
So many times, especially in this society, we think of death as something to be hidden. But it's part of life, and it's just as much a celebration.
Everybody should be as lucky to have a party for themselves.
Yes.
While you're still around to enjoy it.
Yeah, instead of dead.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole deal. And do you see that large container Alma is drinking from? It's not soda pop.
Along with her wish to have a last dance and a last song was to have a shot of scotch. So her physician actually wrote a prescription for her to have the drinks that she wished to at her party.
I saw what you were drinking there at your party.
Scotch and water.
Now, was it in the big container?
As big as I could get it.
That is a big container.
No, you ain't getting none of it.
She is 83 years old, and when her time on this earth comes to an end, she will go out like she has lived her life with a smile. I would have liked to have known you when you were 33, 43.
15. What would have happened then?
I don't know what would have happened. This is getting R-rated here. I'm sweating here.
Asking, I'm telling.
I enjoyed it very much.
I enjoyed you too.
Traveling Central Illinois from A to Z. Thanks for letting me be a part of your day.
I love it.
Scot England, WAND, Storm Center 17. What a gal. Alma Lou lived in Maroa before moving to Mason Point near Sullivan. Over the past 2 years, the Central Illinois Honor Flight, based in Effingham, has taken 700 World War II veterans, all from Central Illinois, to Washington, D.C.
They warned us that it would be emotional because one of the stars is from my brother that was lost over Czechoslovakia.
You will be thinking about your brother today.
Very, very much, yes.
The highlight of the trip was the World War II Memorial, but the veterans also toured other memorials. Harold Miller remembered his time at Iwo Jima as he looked at that memorial.
We lost almost 7,000 Marines there and 20,000 casualties.
While many of the vets walked through the Korean War Memorial, I found Arthur's Max Fabert at this iconic landmark. It's a long way from Arthur to sitting here on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C.
It sure is. It's great to be here.
They will never forget their visit to the nation's capital, and these local World War II vets will also always remember their welcome home. A crowd of family, friends, and others from around the community waited for the plane that was delayed more than 3 hours, and even the Decatur Municipal Band stayed for the midnight arrival.
The band and everybody playing out there. What a day, yeah.
With the Central Illinois Honor Flight, Scott England, WAND, Storm Center 17. This was Nancy Shalyo near the start of her teaching career. This is her today, 37 years later. Her days are now spent with the children of the children she taught in the 60s and 70s.
It's exciting to see those children come into the school system and to have a relationship with their parents different than I had when they were students.
Nancy Shalyo is originally from Macon. She taught school in Sullivan, Taylorville, and Mattoon. Mrs. Shalyo was a principal in Bethany. In 1987, she became a Sullivan principal. Over the years, she has come into contact with thousands of students, and she remembers almost every name.
And they'll say to me, "How did you remember my name?" You know, and it's just something that comes to me. And I could probably call every student by name in the building now, 256 of them.
In Ms. Shalyo's office, you will find her wall of fame. She doesn't display many personal awards or photos, but instead the wall salutes the accomplishments of her students. One of her most prized possessions is this drawing of the Sullivan Power School, where she began teaching. Now the school is the Old School Restaurant and Marketplace. This week, as she prepares to retire, Ms. Shalyo returned to the old school with one of her old students.
It looks a lot smaller than it did back then. We used to do a lot of things in this room, a lot of activities.
It was in this room that Mrs. Shalyo first met Scott England, first grade class of 71.
My desk would sit there. This used to be a chalkboard.
Now antiques and arts and crafts are sold in the old school room, but Mrs. Shalyo was able to still find a familiar closet.
Oh, this is where we kept all the teaching supplies, our construction paper, and you can see we only had about 3 shelves.
Here we were, in the same room, more than 3 decades later. I'd also brought along a special picture. Here you are.
Yes.
And you had been teaching how many years in 71?
Well, 5 years.
There I am.
There you are, yes.
I haven't changed it.
You have not, no.
No change, except maybe a little more hairspray. With your town team report in Sullivan, Scott England, WAND News. B is for Burt Reynolds. This is probably as close as I'll ever come to sharing the screen with the movie legend. I'll play myself.
Okay, guys, we can roll now.
Are you rolling, everybody?
Please. Anytime, guys.
What a thrill it is for me to welcome the legend, Burt Reynolds. Welcome, Burt.
Thank you.
Thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you. You're more than welcome.
He is known for his movies like Deliverance and Smokey and the Bandit. But Burt Reynolds actually started out as a country music singer.
I grew up a Hank Williams fan, and, sang all those songs. And the talent, I think I sang the Lovesick Blues really badly and came in second.
Really?
Which gives you a pretty bad idea about how much talent we had.
And of course, speaking of country music, you worked with one of the biggest of them all, Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
What was that like?
she's everything you would hope she would be and more. I never had so much fun. What a great, and I say this, broad, if you can accept that word. What a great broad. I mean, she just comes in a room and it's sunshine. The whole room lights up.
One of the great things about Burt Reynolds, you made and still make motion pictures that the people love. The men love them, the women love them, and is that the secret to your longevity?
Well, I thank you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure you can pick those kind of pictures and be right every time. But the instinct that I have about movies is that I think I like this character. He's a good guy who's gone bad, and hopefully he's going to straighten out before the picture's over. And along the way, we're going to have some fun.
When you're done making motion pictures, hopefully a long time from now, how do you want to be remembered?
You know, I don't know. I think that I think about certain actors and I smile. I think about Dom and I smile and I miss him. And I hope somebody smiles. I'll take that.
Well, I'll tell you, you've made many people smile, millions, more than you'll ever know you have touched in your lifetime. And it's been my pleasure to sit here with you for a few minutes.
Thank you. Please give your wife an extra hug for me.
I'll let her give you a hug tomorrow. How about that? I'm going to bring her here.
Well, I'll take it. You'll be sorry.